After 17 years of complete silence, Dan Houser just did the unthinkable. The co-founder of Rockstar Games, the creative genius behind every single GTA and Red Dead game you've ever played, sat down for a 3-hour interview and finally revealed what's really going on with GTA 6. And what he said about the game's potential is absolutely insane. When asked if GTA 6 would top GTA 5's record-breaking launch, Houser didn't hesitate. He said he assumes it will because of one simple factor: anticipation. And here's where it gets interesting. He explained that anticipation is the biggest driver of early sales, pointing to how GTA 4 massively outsold Red Dead Redemption 1 at launch purely because people were more hyped for it. But here's the thing. GTA 6 has more anticipation than any game in history.
I would assume it will, because it's so anticipated, and anticipation is the best driver of early sales. As we saw with GTA 4 versus Red Dead Redemption 1, GTA 4 far more anticipated, sold much better early on. So I would assume it will sell really well.
We're talking about a game that's been in development for over a decade, with millions of fans obsessing over every single leak and rumor. If Houser's theory holds up, GTA 6 isn't just going to break records. It's going to shatter them in ways we've never seen before. But what really matters to Houser isn't the money. He revealed that his definition of success was never about sales numbers. It was about one question: did they try new things and achieve their creative goals? Were people responding to the worlds and characters the way he wanted? This is the mindset that created some of gaming's most iconic moments, and it's exactly what's driving GTA 6 right now. The team isn't just trying to make a profitable game. They're trying to create something that pushes boundaries and makes people feel things they've never felt in a video game before.
That was never my definition of success, but you certainly wanted to make money. You're spending someone's money. So the number one success is, are you making that money back plus $1? At some level, that has to be the single most important thing. So you get to do it again. You've got big teams of people need to pay the rent. You have to keep the lights on in the business. So you have to make a small profit. If you think in that way, that keeps you being creative. I think that was like trying to forget about that. It's not really an option. But we almost always did that. We didn't quite always do that, but we almost always did that. I think the definition of success for me was, had we tried to do new things and done or achieved some of our goals. That was the thing that I'm at. Were people responding to these worlds and these characters in a way that I wanted them to?
So how does Rockstar actually create these massive, detailed stories? Houser pulled back the curtain and the process is wild. For GTA 4, the script was thousands of pages long. Not including side content, not including random pedestrian dialogue, just the main missions alone. And it all started with him living in New York for years, trying to find the underbelly of the city and capture an authentic immigrant experience. He spent an entire year in 2005 just traveling around with cops, meeting people, wandering the streets, and taking notes.
When we printed out the scripts for GTA 4, it was about this high. Yeah. And GTA 5 was about that high. But that was including all the pedestrians who'd have pages and pages just to create the illusion of a living world. Because you interact with each one of them. But even the main script for the main missions was thousands of pages.
Funny characters here, interesting mob angle there, authentic Jamaican perspectives over here. Months and months of notes with no actual writing happening. Then came the part he admitted was his process: running away from the work. He'd avoid actually writing for as long as possible, just thinking about it, adding more notes, procrastinating like crazy. Until finally, he'd set a hard deadline, tell the senior team he'd have a draft by Monday morning, and then lock himself in a cabin upstate for the weekend. No sleep, just pure creative chaos, hammering out a 30-page story synopsis and character breakdowns in one intense session.
Characters of this, what was an interesting take on the mob for that kind of time period, what was an interesting take on some Jamaican hoodlums for that kind of time period, and assembling lots of notes and more notes, and really running away from the work, which is, I have to admit, it's part of my process, if there is any kind of process, which is not doing work, thinking about it but not working, a lot of time, and then it all kind of pages and pages of notes, make more notes, no actual work, months and months of this, and then finally set myself a deadline, told all the other people on the senior people on the team, okay, I'll have a story draft to you Monday morning. I can't remember what I was, say February the 1st, and then the weekend before was in a cabin we had upstate, and just stayed up all night, knocking these notes into shape, assemble about probably a 30-page document. It's a story synopsis and a character synopsis for each of the major characters, and then hand that over, and that would get broken down with me and the designers. And I was always clear, I'm not a game designer, I'm a sort of creative director. With me, and it'd break that down into missions. And then that takes another year or so of that slowly assembling.
That's how Niko Bellic was born. And by the way, Hauser just officially confirmed for the first time ever that Niko is Serbian. This was never revealed before, but he talked about the challenge of writing as a Serbian immigrant when he himself wasn't Serbian, trying to capture what that experience would feel like.
Our animation's going to be a lot better, our character models are going to start to look better, the world is going to look amazing, therefore we can support better, longer scenes. We can have more in-depth characters, but we've got to find a tone that works for that with the game. Easy, no problem. And I start to worry, and also writing as a Serbian immigrant. And I was an immigrant, but I'm not Serbian. And trying to capture what on earth that would feel like. So start to worry again, avoid work for as long as possible.
But the real breakthrough came when he found Niko's voice. He described how once he got one speech, one turn of phrase that felt right for a character, they suddenly came alive in his head. Niko was awkward, out of place, but had this quiet self-assurance the American characters didn't have. He was slightly stepped back from their ridiculousness, observing it all with this outsider perspective. And when you put him next to his cousin Roman, who had this super Americanized energy, the contrast just worked.
And then just sit down and start hammering away at a keyboard again late at night. Hammering away at a keyboard and going, does that right? Is that? And once I get one speech, one turn of phrase that I would like for a character, then they suddenly come alive in my head. And so it's like writing with Niko, and he's awkward, he's out of town, but he's got more self-assurance in some way, not the American characters. And so once I kind of taught him through this, he's just stepped slightly back from their ridiculousness. And then he started to come to life. And then I would juxtapose him and his cousin, who had this much more Americanized energy. And that felt like it was a good double act. And then from there, it starts to come to life.
That's the creative process behind GTA, and it's exactly how they're building Lucia and Jason for GTA 6 right now.
Everything that matters is who you know and what you got.
When it came time for GTA 5, Rockstar faced their biggest technical nightmare yet. They wanted to do something no open-world game had ever done. Multiple protagonists that you could switch between at any time. Hauser described the team sitting there holding their heads because they hurt so much, asking themselves why they decided to do this, calling it horrible. The technical challenge of moving from character to character, making sure the world and story worked no matter what order you did things, was absolutely brutal.
The challenge was, can we make a video game which tends to be very much focused on one protagonist, but have multi-protagonists? The technical challenge of moving from character to character, the team did such an amazing job that I don't think people realized how hard it was. But we would sit there just sort of holding our heads because they hurt so much around, like, what happens if you do this, then do that? This is so hard. Why have we decided to do this? It's horrible. And then it all came together.
But that's what makes Rockstar different. They don't take the easy path. The brilliance was in how they designed the three characters. Michael driven by ego, Trevor driven by pure ID and chaos, and Franklin driven by the desire to get ahead, representing the superego. Three philosophical and psychological avatars that felt like real people, not just player proxies. When they all played off each other, it created this dynamic that had never existed in gaming before. And somehow, despite all the technical headaches, it worked perfectly. This is the kind of innovation GTA 6 is building on, taking those lessons and pushing even further. Now here's where things get really interesting. Hauser talked about the DLC that never happened, the content Rockstar was working on but ultimately scrapped. For GTA 5, they were developing a single-player expansion where you played as Trevor, but he was a secret agent. Yeah, you heard that right. Trevor Phillips as a secret agent. Hauser said it was cute, about half done, but never quite came together and got abandoned.
It was one when you played as Trevor, but he was a secret agent. Well, it was cute. It never quite came together and it was never finished. It was about half done when it got abandoned.
And here's the kicker. If they had finished that DLC, they probably wouldn't have gotten to make Red Dead Redemption 2. There's always compromises in game development.
But I think if that had come out, probably wouldn't have got to make Red Dead 2. So there's always compromises.
But what's really exciting is what he said next. He mentioned they also had ideas for a GTA zombie game that would have been funny and quite fun.
The idea of it that was a GTA zombie game, that would have been funny. I think that could have been quite fun.
And then he dropped this hint. With stuff we're doing in the future, we're going to try and come up with worlds where we can add more stories. He loves the model of GTA 4 with extra stories coming afterwards, or Red Dead 1 with the zombie pack. He thinks the audience loves single-player DLC, and it's really fun to make.
For me, I love the model of GTA 4 when you had the extra stories coming afterwards, or Red Dead 1 when you had the zombie pack coming afterwards. I like just doing these extra things. So I personally like to have done more of that in that company. And with stuff we're doing in the future, we're going to try and come up with worlds where we can add more stories. I like single-player DLC. I just think the audience loves it, and it's really fun to make.
Translation? GTA 6 is being built with story expansions in mind. New maps, new characters, new adventures, all within the GTA 6 world. This isn't just a game. It's a platform for years of storytelling. One of the most fascinating parts of the interview was when Hauser talked about killing off characters. He revealed that at the end of GTA 4, he wanted to off Niko, but you couldn't do it. The game doesn't work that way.
And suddenly we're going to break one of our golden rules, which was at the end of the game, you're freeing the character to go and wrap up all the side stories to play forever. You're not going to be able to do that in this game because the guy's going to be dead, and we're going to have you play as a different character. And the narrative is going to be, if we've done a good job, compelling enough where you're not going to care about that, and or you're going to be upset that he's dead, but you're going to actually have this emotional moment. So I think it was a big risk from a technical perspective for us to do that, and then it worked. So I think that was something that was full of fear, and it worked. It worked out okay. I mean, I think people were really upset and angry at us for doing it because they didn't think it was going to happen. But I think they also had that kind of experience you're describing, which is that kind of creative moment where, transcendent moment with characters in a piece of fiction, which is what we were always aspiring to giving people.
I mean, it's incredible because I don't remember a single video game that has done that before.
Well, I would like to have at the end of GTA 4 kill Niko, but you couldn't do it. The game doesn't work that way. So it was this thing where we hadn't done it, had thought about doing it, hadn't done it, and then going, let's do it. Let's take the risk and do it. Or we can't do it. Let's try it, and it worked.
You need an avatar to keep playing with after the story ends, to finish side missions and explore the world. But with Red Dead Redemption 1, they took the risk. John Marston had to perish for the story to work, and it was terrifying from a technical perspective because it broke one of their golden rules. At the end of the game, you're supposed to free the character to play forever, but instead, the guy's gone and you're playing as someone else. The gamble paid off. Hauser said people were really upset and angry at them for doing it because they didn't think it would happen, but they also had this transcendent emotional moment with the character. That's what they're always aspiring to give players. And then they did it again with Red Dead 2, but in a different way. Arthur Morgan's slow demise from tuberculosis, this immortal video game protagonist becoming mortal, getting weaker while helping others see truth. Hauser called Arthur the best lead character they've ever created, the most rounded and complete. The question everyone's asking now is, will GTA 6 do something similar? Will Lucia or Jason face permanent consequences? Based on everything Hauser said, Rockstar has learned how to make character endings work, and they're not afraid to take creative risks. What makes this interview so important is what it reveals about GTA 6's development philosophy. Hauser talked about how Rockstar always tried to innovate from game to game within the confines of the crime drama framework. They pushed narrative boundaries, art direction, every piece of the experience. The culture at Rockstar was one of excellence, with Sam and Dan always rolling up their sleeves and working alongside everyone else. They never left the team holding the bag. Everyone committed because they all thought they were making something incredible.
Kansari, an award-winning director and virtual reality game maker who worked with you on a number of Grand Theft Auto games, spoke highly about his time working with you. Quote, "We always worked ourselves to the bone, but it wasn't coming from the top down. Sam and Dan always rolled up their sleeves and they were always there. They never left us holding the bag. We all thought we were making badass shit, so it didn't matter how hard we worked."
That same culture is building GTA 6 right now. The game starts with Vice City and the surrounding areas as the world. Then they place characters like Lucia and Jason in that environment and start writing from there. They create side characters, little events, an entire living ecosystem through this iterative creative process. It's not just about making a profitable game that sells well. It's about trying new things, achieving creative goals, and making people respond to the world and characters in profound ways. That's the Rockstar difference. Dan Houser breaking his 17-year silence tells us everything we need to know about where GTA 6 is headed. This isn't just another sequel. It's a game built by people who understand that anticipation drives success, that innovation matters more than playing it safe, and that taking creative risks, even when they're terrifying, is what creates unforgettable experiences. With hints of future story expansions, lessons learned from character-driven narratives, and a team culture that demands excellence, GTA 6 is shaping up to be something we've never seen before. The only question left is, are we ready for what Rockstar is about to unleash?